Hey everyone, my name is Carlo Libertini and thanks for joining me right now. We're going to have a lot of fun. I'm talking reverbs and delays and some vintage warmers. All of this by the good folks at PSP Audioware. Now I love reverbs. I don't know anyone in their right mind who doesn't, especially when you're in audio production. And we're going to be taking a look at this beautiful little reverb here first. And then we'll get into some multi-tap delays and some analog vintage warming and compression. Now, what we're looking at here is the PSP 2445. This is a digital emulation of a famous hardware unit, an EMT 244 and 245. Now, if you've known anything about those hardware units, they're really sought after and sound amazing. And I got to tell you, this digital counterpart does not disappoint. In fact, let's take a listen to it right now. I went ahead and put this on a couple of tracks here, and namely, I've got it on my acoustic guitar track here. Let's solo this track, and let's take a listen to the guitar track. Beautifully played, cut and dry right up the middle. Now, let's add some life to this track. I busted here to this track here, and we're taking a look at the reverb right now. Let's take a listen to this. Beautiful mono to stereo reverb just by turning it on. Now let's take a look at some of these parameters and what makes this so unique. First of all, what sticks out to me right here is the time selector. We've got anywhere from 0.2 seconds to 5 seconds. Beautiful. Check out that decay. It's just gorgeous. Now, here we've got a choice between two models of analog emulation. The 244 right here, the 245, and the Plus, which is kind of a hybrid mix of both. So rather than buying two separate hardware units, which would cost tens of thousands of dollars probably, you can have all that here in this emulation. Now, if you don't see this parameter setting down here, just click open and you've got some of these settings. Now, one of my favorite here is dual mono. This one will really help widen the stereo mix a little bit. Let's take a listen. Let me put it back to mono to stereo. Just a little bit wider. And then of course you got stereo to stereo there too. We also have some parameters here for the high pass filter, a low cut and a high boost and cut. Boost to highs. Now let's cut some highs, boost some lows. And that's what's called a darker reverb. Often you'll hear terminology like that in audio production, how you put like a darker reverb on something. Well, this is how you can create that with just a couple of turns of the dial here. You can lower your highs and boost your lows, and you can do the opposite. Lower your lows and boost your highs. And you have a high pass filter here too. So it's only going to process that higher band. It sounds really nice. And this is our delay setting. So let's have a little fun. Let's say I wanted to go to like maybe 60 millisecond on my pre-delay and bring this down to about almost half a second. That's giving me like a slap back, a really nice, beautiful slap back sound. Let's put this in with the drums. Let's play with the pre-delay a little bit. Bring it down to about 24. So here's before. Let me bypass it. And here's after. I like it. Let's add this to 1 second and bring this down to 12. And then we've got some toggle switches here for our low and high cuts. They're kind of like hardwired. And I love how analog they look. It's really old school. It's classic. Here's our output mix. So we can adjust that between the wet and dry signal. Ah, I like that. Sometimes when you hit a sweet spot like that, you just stop when it feels right. I really like that. And here's our gain knob, in case you want to boot that to make up for some differences in amplitude. Now, one of the benefits of having a high quality digital reverb like this is that, back in the early days, when you went to a studio, you might have had 1, 2, maybe 3 or 4 hardware units, and everything was processed through those 3 units. Now, you could have one quality plugin like this and put it on a multitude of different tracks, like drums and bass, guitars, and vocals, and you can adjust them uniquely and get different results every time, while getting great results too. Let's take a listen to some drums through this. Here you can see I pumped my snare drum into there. Let me take this off and let's solo my drums a little bit, and my snare in particular. All right, let's do this. Here's my snare drum. Beautiful snare drum, well recorded. Let's take the PSP 2445 out of bypass. Oh, I love it. Sounds like a basketball court meets a stairway. It's just gorgeous. And you can see I have the reverb quite long here, 1.7 seconds. Let's put in all of the drums and see how that blends. Sometimes you want to time your reverb decay to stretch out to the next beat. That's a little bit long. Let me come down to 1.25 seconds. How about we bring in some early reflections? And I'll increase that level of those. I'm going to boost my highs a little bit and cut my lows a little bit. I like it. So we're dialing in a unique set of presets for just that snare drum tone. The snare drum's a little dark, a little bit warm. So I don't want to layer it with a dark sounding reverb. I just want it to cast a brighter sheen, if you will. Let's take a listen to that with the acoustic guitar now. Maybe I want to bring the width. Remember this width dial right here? Bring the width a little bit in so the reverb isn't fighting some of that acoustic reverb. Yeah, kind of bottlenecked it into the center just a little bit with this width knob right here. So the PSP 2445, again, is a digital emulation of this classic hardware unit. Super easy to use. Dial in your parameters right away. Tweak some of the presets right here. If you don't see them, it's right here when you choose this open. And you can go from mono to stereo, dual mono. You could do some channel configuration, some routing here. Adjust the width, the balance, and the output mix. Let's have a little bit of fun now. Let's keep having fun, I should say. And let's move on to our second guitar. Let's talk about delays. Now, I don't even know where to begin with this delay because it just blows my mind. We're looking at the 608 here. The 608 is a multi-delay. Now, if you look at it, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 different taps of delay. But this is more than just a delay unit. This has onboard reverb and tape saturation effects. So it's kind of like 3 effects in one. Delay, reverb, and tape saturation. And it's super cool, super easy to use. Here's a quick demo I fired up for us. Now I've got a little guitar here, and here's the guitar before. And here's something I just set up. So I was having fun with some of those ping pong effects. Let's talk about how to get this set up. Now, we're going to work here at the top. You got your input, your mix, and your output, your display, and then to the right, you had a pad to tap in your tempo. Then you get your reverb type. You could turn it on or off, spring, plate, and your dampening and your amount of reverb here. Then each one of these taps is kind of like a channel strip. You can turn it on, you can activate feedback and such, and you can do gain, width, and balance. Okay? You could send your reverb left and right. And here's where you select the timing of the delay right here. You can go forwards and backwards with these arrows too, okay, for incrementals. And you can turn your filter on for these different kinds of filters. You got some high shelf, some low shelf, some peaks. And so you can do you can color the tonality of your reverb, your frequency, your gain, and then your depth. And here you've got your drive. When you activate this, you can increase this, and you're adding a certain amount of what's called tape like saturation to your delay signal. Really great for creating like a differentiation between the multiple taps. And this is how you turn the reverb on right here, and then you can adjust the amount of reverb. So let's turn one tap on right now. Actually, why don't we start this way? Let's tap into tempo, and let's do that with the drums playing back. And while the drums are playing back, I'm just going to click in this pad here to set my tempo. Here we go. All right, let's take a listen to where we're at. Let me turn this feedback on. Now let's see if we can cast that to the right a little bit. Now let's turn on another tap here, tap 2, and we'll ping this one to the left here. Sounds amazing, huh? We can activate, let's say, a low cut or a high cut anytime, a high pass filter. We can adjust our frequency for that. And if we wanted to, we could also introduce some saturation here. Let's do that. Let's add a little bit of drive here and then a little extra drive on this one. Now here's a really neat effect. With the reverb on, I'm going to put the reverb on the most distant one, and we'll take the gain level on that one down a little bit. So as the delays echo, they're not as loud. They kind of delay, they will decay in amplitude too. And by putting the reverb on the last one, let's boost that reverb a little bit up. So in the left ear, you should hear some more reverb. Or the right ear, whichever way your headphones are. And to hear just one tap, deactivate one, and let's hear the second one. Nothing but a good time. So let's bring this down and let's do this manually now. Let's create a really cool rhythmic effect, because this is just way too cool. This is way too much fun. All right, so I'm going to turn one on and let's play the audio back. All right, let's bring the next one up. Again, watch as you turn this up. You get the value parameters here in your display window. I'm going to change this to a plate reverb right here in the reverb selection and increase the amount a little bit. So this is kind of a global amount, and then you can pull it back with the independent values right here. Now I'm going to activate a third tap. And let's put this one way out there. Let's see, what value am I on here? 4. We're going to go to 8. And I'll put this one, keep it in the middle for now. Bring the gain down just a little bit. Add some drive. And a lot of reverb. All right. All right, now we're just having fun. Let's bring this in our mix a little bit. Let's take the acoustics in and the drums with our reverbs. So as you remember, we put the PSP 2445, the classic hardware emulation, on an acoustic guitar in our snare drum, and we put the 608 multi-tap delay here on the electric guitar. Let's see how our mix is shaping up. Nice. Let's talk some more about this delay because there's really a lot to get into. Now, I want to point out that with all of the PSP Audioware products, you got some amazing presets down here. Down here at the bottom of the plugin, we've got a set of presets. Okay? Now, these just are a great way to start. Why? Because you may discover that there's a new way to use this delay. Because sometimes you pigeonhole ourselves. We've been doing things so long, we have our favorite presets and our go-to algorithms. But sometimes when you experiment with presets, you may find something unusual that you may never have tried before. For example, let's go down a few of these. Here's Alien X. Let's take a listen to this again with the guitar. And you can see they're using a bell shape right here to roll off some highs and lows. See, you can learn some new things. Let's scroll through some more. That one's really cool. Now, if you notice here, I have to point out in the bottom right corner here, this panic button. Anytime you push this, it'll reset, just like it says, all your gain and all amounts to 0 very quickly. Because if your delays run away from you and you're starting to get into some serious feedback problems with that bucket brigade, just press this panic button right here and it'll stop all the processing. I'd say it's a pretty cool idea to just put a button there and label it exactly what it is, panic. If there's something you think might be going on wrong, just push that right there. So that's a look at the PSP multi delay here, the 608 by PSP Audioware. And again, the more you spend time with these, the more fun it is to use. Keep in mind, it's not only a multi-tap delay again, but reverb and tape saturation. So speaking of saturation, let's have a little fun here. I want to talk about this effect. Now, it's more of a processor, but this is a micro warmer. Now, there's a couple varieties of this. There's the vintage warmer and the micro warmer, and we're going to look at all of these. But basically, the micro warmer typically would be as an insert on one track, like we're doing here. It's a combination warmth, analog warmth, and compressor. And I just put it on my bass guitar right here. I just put it directly onto my bass guitar. So let's take a listen to the bass guitar before. Now, there's no processing at all on this bass at all. Basically, what the micro warmer is going to do is you got this drive level here. It's going to increase the kind of analog tape saturation, that grit, if you will. And then we've got some parameters for our low, high, knee, and output, like a compressor, and of course left and right channels if we're in stereo. You also can manage your presets, do comparisons, and scroll through some of the onboard presets here, which we'll do in a minute. And it's really pretty easy to use. You got a stereo mono link and link on and off, and a bypass right here. It does exactly what it says it does. Right now I've got preset number 12 loaded. Let's take a listen to this. Here it is now. Sounds punchy, has personality now, and I can't wait to hear that with the drums. Here's before, and here's after. Let's increase the drive a hair. Let's put the drums in with the bass guitar. Let's bring in that snare verb. Here's bypassed. Oh yeah. So that's an idea of what it does. Let's go on to another track. Here's our synth track right here. Let's take a listen to this. This one needs a little bit of warming up. Let me open this up. Now this is the vintage warmer. Unlike the micro warmer, this one typically would go on a bus. But right now I have it inputted on my synth. Let's take a listen to the synth. Take the bass out. It's like a real synthetic jab, you know. Let's bypass the vintage warmer. Here's before. Here's after. I like that. Let's go through some presets right here. We've got some mix first aid and such. Again, these presets are a little different than the micro warmer because typically this version here would go on a bus when you're bussing tracks together like a drum bus. Happen to put it on my synth here, and it still works just great. And speaking of buses, let's do that right now. Let's go over to our drum bus. Beautiful. Here we go. Let's open up our drums. Let's solo our drums, and let's put some vintage warmer on them. Opens right up. I'm using preset number 26, snare drum track. Here's before. No, here's after actually. Here's before. See if you're listening. And this really does the trick. Check it out. So let's start at the default settings. Let's create something special for this drum bus. Now I like to start with the drive myself. I'm going to bring that up quite a bit, maybe come to about 5. And these compressor settings, let's see, take the low down a little bit, boost to high. And you see I'm just knocking down some of those overs just a little bit right there. Let me bring my knee to a 10. Here's before. So it adds a particular kind of characteristic that I really like. It's not just louder, it's opening up those instruments and adding definition to each one, every component in that drum set. Here it is before again. Take a listen. And then with it. Okay, let's add that snare verb. Let's bring in some other instruments. Now, if you're interested in tracks like this that I'm working on, I think it's fair to mention that if you're looking for some quality audio that you can download, practice mixing on, especially when you're learning new plugins like these from PSP Audioware, these tracks are from producelikeapro.com. They've got literally dozens of high-quality tracks, an amazing academy where you can be part of a real family, where you can learn, explore, share information about audio production, and get access to amazing tracks like this for yourself to practice on. All right, so next, you can see I have it here on my guitar bus. And I have it set to 19 clean guitar track. It's doing some very light leveling, nothing too aggressive. Let's try a couple of presets here. Let's go to guitar track. Really fries that signal. Shows you how powerful this the drive is on the vintage warmer. Okay, here's a good one. This one seems to really thicken it up. Here's before. And here's after. So again, the vintage warmer is a combination of analog warmth processing here with a compressor. And there's a micro version like we saw on the bass guitar right here, which is great for as a dedicated insert on single tracks. And then the kind that you would put on a bus, which would be the vintage warmer, this one right here. And there's also one to put on your master bus. This is a vintage warmer too. You could see a lot of these presets here are set for like, you know, bus compression. And let's have this, I have this set on mix light drive tape a little bit. I actually like this preset because it adds what most people call a little bit of glue to kind of reel things in and glue them over and add this uniform kind of layer to your sound. So why don't we bring in our whole mix right now and let's have a little bit of fun. And again, you can get these tracks at producelikeapro.com, where you should become a member today. All right, let's have a little bit of fun. So now I just put this on my 2-mix bus. Here's before. Here, I need to solo everything. I got some stuff soloed, don't I? Yeah. Let's see. Now let's bring in the Vintage Warmer 2 that's on my mix bus, my global music mix bus. Nice. So this is basically a quick look at some of my favorite effects here from PSP Audioware. There are many, many more, lots of more reverbs, and I definitely suggest taking a look and downloading a demo today, especially this reverb emulation. It's fast become my favorite. I mean, it really feels like you're working with a hardware unit. A little goes a long way. And in this presentation, I exaggerate a lot of these effects because we're having fun and it's about the process I wanted to show you and what they sounded like. But of course, the best way is to find out for yourself. My name's Carlo Libertini, and thank you for watching.